In 1887, the city of El Paso was divided into political districts, also known as 4 wards. The second ward was called Segundo Barrio by all of the Mexican Americans who lived there. The boundaries have always been the Rio Grande River to the south, Paisano to the north, El Paso Street to the west, and Cotton to the east. Javier Salgado wrote a seminar paper called Awakenings in the Segundo Barrio, Mexican American Youth Association, MAYA, 1967 to 1972. Through his paper, he speaks about the Segundo Barrio being an isolated sector known as a Mexican area. He says, within these Mexican neighborhoods, people suffer from poverty, powerlessness, unsanitary living conditions, unemployment, exploitation, and deprivation. The city of El Paso had 2 options. One being that they were going to neglect the second ward and any other low-income neighborhoods, or 2, they could have assimilated or attempted to assimilate the Mexicans into the American culture. Unfortunately, they chose the first option. El Segundo Barrio, along with other low-income neighborhoods, were neglected and treated poorly until they were either a menace to the rest of the city or they were affecting everybody else. It did not matter if the Segundo Barrio or any other barrios served a different purpose to everybody who lived there. The main reason that the city of El Paso was divided into the different sectors in the first place was because of segregation. It wasn't until 1967 when the Mexican American Youth Association became a lead voice for a change in the Segundo Barrio. Of course, the MAYA could not do it all on their own. Once the people decided to commit to the change, Javier Salgado says that the community was able to redefine itself after 100 years of deprivation. No one should have expected it, but nothing happened overnight. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort from everybody, not just those inside El Segundo Barrio, in order to make a difference. And they did. Within the 5 years, it was very noticeable that the Segundo Barrio was no longer going to represent the poverty or the depression. Instead, it was going to become a symbol of change, and it was going to symbolize hope that there was always a chance. I interviewed 2 very different people, and I really just wanted to know about their experiences in the Segundo Barrio. I wanted to understand their opinions and their views on the community as a whole, and if it was going to change and grow or anything that, or whatever it meant to them. My first interviewee is going to be my grandfather, who has asked to be kept out of the photos and videos, so I'm just going to recite his words. I was raised in the second ward. We used to live in the barrio, as they call it. I went to grade school at Roosevelt School, and I went there for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. We were poor. We didn't have a lot of money, but we were happy. Back then, they would get mad at you for speaking Spanish in school, and they would even punish you. Nowadays, I don't think they really do that. I remember playing marbles with my friends on a lot that was close to the apartments we lived in. As a matter of fact, we used to live where rainbow brick is made across the street. I remember one of the apartments we lived in, you had to walk all the way downstairs. We lived at the top floor, okay? And there was 1 or 2 bathrooms that were shared by the whole neighborhood, really, the whole section. He says he did not remember a lot about the Segundo Barrio, but to me, it was more than enough. My second interviewee is Roy, from the Segundo Barrio. He is now 20 years old, and he works at the Bowie Bakery.
But the barrio gave me the nickname Roy. It's Segundo Barrio because it's the second ward. It's one of the oldest barrios in El Paso, next to Chihuahuita. Chihuahuita is number 1. I'm 20 years old. I've been here since I was 9 years old. My other home was Kansas. I came here to in bus. I haven't left since, and now I'm really leaving. I've gotten offers to go to school outside. I've gotten schools to go to Florida, and honestly, don't see myself leaving Suwannabar even as an adult. I plan on growing my children here because I don't really just see it as part of El Paso. I see it as its own city. It has its own community, has its own.
Right.
The culture is beautiful. We have murals, we have art forms. We show our art in every way through bread, through murals, through our people, through our kindness. And that's really the motto, Segundo Barrio, kindness and respect.
As you can see, both interviewees had two very different views and opinions on El Segundo Barrio. This also has to do with the fact that they are from two different time periods of living in the Segundo Barrio. My grandfather lived there when he was a young child, almost 65 years ago. Roy is recently growing up or has grown up in El Segundo Barrio. Very interesting listening to both interviewees because they both spoke about the Segundo Barrio personally and as a community. Projects like these that make you open your eyes and realize that you can't take what you have for granted. Thankfully, the Segundo Barrio has become better, but the people living in the neighborhood and some people around it might still be going through some hardships. I believe El Segundo Barrio is a neighborhood that is still developing later than it should have been, but it will get to where it needs to be eventually. I know that with time and effort, the Segundo Barrio will still represent change and not just the oppression, poverty, and unsanitary living style that it once did.